Tonight, 100 days of turmoil and uncertainty at the hands of Donald Trump.
I was saved by God to make America great again.
From tariffs to DOGE, the US president has wasted no time in bringing about change. We'll look back at 3 months of Trump in office. We'll also unpick what it means for Canada as the newly elected Prime Minister Mark Carney insists he will fight back.
Trump is trying to break us so that America can own us. That will never, ever happen.
I'll ask Canada's High Commissioner to the UK whether the US president's plan to create a 51st state could ever become a reality. Also tonight, released after more than 5 weeks in detention, the paramedic in Gaza who survived the Israeli attack that killed 15 aid workers. Following the killings in Kashmir, a former Indian diplomat tells me his country will strike back against Pakistan no matter what.
Nuclear weapons or possession of it, I don't think it will stop people from really fighting for what is right and what we feel is just.
Plus, power restored. We'll have the latest from Madrid after one of Europe's biggest ever blackouts. That's all coming up on The World with me, Yalda Hakim. Good evening. He sent shockwaves across the world, and today, on his 100th day in the White House, well, it's business as usual for Donald Trump. He's a president that, in his second term, has stretched the United States' constitution to its absolute limits, whether it's renaming the Gulf of Mexico, shutting down the asylum system, or even promising to take over Gaza. So far, it's been, well, one hell of a ride. And that's before we've even gotten to his favourite word, tariffs, upending the global order and essentially stripping down diplomacy into a series of business deals has come at a heavy price. Stock markets down, heads of state offended. Tonight, we'll take a look at just how much of an impact Donald Trump has made and ask whether the controversial policies he's pushed through are just the start of an era-defining 4 years in office. But first, our US correspondent Mark Stone is in Michigan, where Mr. Trump has chosen to celebrate his 100 days in power.
It has been just 100 days.
I was saved by God to make America great again.
A presidency like no other. Norms upended.
The chainsaw for bureaucracy.
Allies shocked.
Canada is going to be a very serious contender to be our 51st state. We need Greenland for national security.
And shafted.
You're gambling with World War III.
Moments no one predicted.
Trump Gaza, #1.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip. We'll own it.
And the tariffs.
I'd like to see the chart if you have it.
Everyone predicted them, but it didn't soften the blow.
China, first row.
Until he U-turned.
They were getting yippy, you know?
Migrants removed, with court-defying deportations. In every way, for the delighted and the disgusted, this has been a truly consequential 3 months. And he will mark it here later today, a rally on the edge of Detroit, the Motor City in Michigan, the battleground state which helped to propel him back to the White House. To fix America, Donald Trump first needed to convince people that it's broken, and many did not need convincing. Look for decline here, and you will find it easily. Communities left behind. Look for bureaucracy and waste. You will find that too. Common sense silenced by wokeism. Many can relate to that. Immigration out of control. Well, politicians have been struggling with that for decades. And in just 100 days, Donald Trump has harnessed all of that into a package of change that feels like nothing short of a revolution. At a park on the banks of the Detroit River, the scorecards reflect the enduring divide.
Give him a 10.
I would say 10 too. I mean, he's human, he's doing his best.
Oh, 0. If I could do lower than 0, lower.
We're all so angry because we're under angry leadership, and that's not good.
The polling 100 days in tells the bigger picture, because with a 40% approval rating, it's lower than any president in over 70 years. And yet the Democrats are doing no better either. Down the road from the president's rally, hopes and fears at the Detroiter bar.
He's helping the middle class of the country.
Sounds like he's convinced you.
Yeah. He convinced me the first time.
I'm a cook, and I got 2 kids to provide for. But this right now, it's bad. It's real bad.
You sound really worried.
I am. I'm a citizen. I was born in America, so yeah, I am really worried.
Of one fact, there is no debate. After just 100 days, he is proving to be a leader of profound global consequence.
And we've got Mark with us now, who joins us live from Detroit. I mean, Mark, it's been such a ride. We were together on election night in November of last year, together again at inauguration earlier this year. I described the last 100 days as fast and furious. There's been a level of hyperactivity around what we've seen. And I guess the big question is, how much has he managed to get done? And, how much sort of damage has come out of the last 100 days as well?
Yeah, I mean, Days of Thunder is how Steve Bannon, his one-time ally, said about the past, what the past 100 days would be like. Days of Thunder, Yalda, is certainly what it feels like. You and I and Mark Austin said it would be consequential. By Jove, it has been extraordinarily consequential. And here in Warren County, Michigan, at the Macomb Community College, he will mark that 100 days in an event that I have to say feels small, intimate, perhaps intentionally intimate. It is not a massive stadium where he will be arriving in an hour or two's time. It is a community college in a place which was, as you and I both know, a battleground state. Michigan was perhaps more than any other of the battleground states the one that pushed him over the line. It was different communities in places like Michigan, whether they be the Arab Americans, whether they be the African American community, or the blue-collar workers who back in November decided to give Donald Trump a shot. So he's coming back here to thank them in a speech that I think will be, it's billed to be at about an hour long, and I imagine it will be his interpretation of his. But I mean, consequential is the word, without question, the most consequential leader of this century globally so far, simply because of what he has done, upending norms both here in the United States but internationally as well, catching allies off guard at every turn, saying things with a seriousness that people once laughed them off with, things like the 51st state for Canada, taking Greenland, taking the Panama Canal, upending that relationship with NATO, picking that fight with Zelensky and appearing to side with Putin, although maybe not so much anymore. So much has happened over just 100 days. As he left the White House this afternoon to make his way up here to Michigan, he was reflecting himself on what he sees as his achievements.
The border is in great shape. 99.9% came out again today. 99.9. That, I would say, that was my #1 thing. The economy would be certainly right up there, and I think it's doing great. We were losing billions and billions of dollars a day with trade, and now I have that down to a very low level, and soon we're going to be making a lot of money. We're going to be reducing people's taxes.
That was Donald Trump a little earlier, Mark. He talks about the economy doing really great. I mean, before Donald Trump came to power, the economy of the United States, while the American people were feeling the pain of inflation, was considered the envy of the world. We've seen Donald Trump bring in a series of tariffs that he has put into place and has imposed on, a number of countries. Who could forget that image with the board and the list of countries that he had? And really, the mantra he had was no pain, no gain, taking a maximalist approach to this whole thing. But just on the issue of tariffs, I mean, we've seen this back and forth with the Amazon boss, Jeff Bezos. Just give us an update on that.
Yeah, I mean, look, every single day over the past 100 days, there have been not one news line, not two, but usually 10. It's been hard to keep up. We've done our best. But today, I think the clear headline is this extraordinary U-turn, it appears, by Amazon. News this morning that Amazon would publish on their website the tariff that consumers, customers, would be paying. So there would be two prices. There would be the before tariff price and then the add-on as a consequence of Donald Trump's tariffs. And as you can imagine, this infuriated him. It surprised many as well, because Jeff Bezos, the owner of Amazon, has appeared over the course of the past few months to tack closely to Donald Trump. Remember, he owns the Washington Post newspaper, a newspaper that chose not to endorse either candidate in the election last November. Now, what has unfolded today is an extraordinary phone call. Donald Trump picking up the phone to Jeff Bezos, and we don't know quite what he said, but by lunchtime, it had become clear that Amazon had U-turned, or indeed was saying, actually, that wasn't really our plan anyway, we're not going to publish the tariff. So just another example, Yalda, of where everyone appears with perhaps the is to be towing the line, feeling that there is nothing that they can do, that they do not want to in any way antagonize Donald Trump, whether that be business leaders who may be concerned about what he is doing, or indeed world leaders. Look at how our own Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, has chosen very intentionally not to be seen to criticize Donald Trump because of what they need from America in terms of reducing the tariffs there. So very, very interesting indeed on that. Have a listen to this on the issue with Jeff Bezos and Amazon.
Jeff Bezos was very nice. He was terrific. He solved the problem very quickly, and he did the right thing, and he's a good guy.
So there we go. Donald Trump reflecting today, Yalda, on 100 days. And here, I'll leave you with this scene here. You can see the podium is set, the presidential crest not yet on that podium. Soon, in a couple of hours, Donald Trump will be here for what I imagine will be yet another victory rally.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark, thank you so much for all of your reporting throughout the course of these last 100 days as well. And apologies to our audience for some of those issues with the audio there with Mark's sound. He is at that very noisy rally in Michigan. Now, you usually wouldn't think of the American president when talking about Canada, but Donald Trump has, as with many events, overshadowed this year's election. Mark Carney has secured his post as Prime Minister amid the backdrop of a trade war and even the threat of annexation from the United States. Well, the Canadian Parliament has 323 seats, with 172 needed for a majority. With the result now fully declared, Mark Carney's Liberal Party has 168, fall short of a majority. The Conservatives sit on 144, with their leader Pierre Poilievre losing his seat after nearly 2 decades. The centre-left bloc, Québécois, has 23 seats, with the New Democrats and the Greens holding 7 and 1 seats, respectively. The result means Mr Carney will form a minority government, as James Matthews reports.
He styled himself the man to take on Trump. Canadians took him at his word. Mark Carney, the duly elected Prime Minister of Canada, addressed a victory rally overnight.
My message to every Canadian is this: no matter where you live, no matter what language you speak, no matter how you voted, I will always do my best to represent everyone who calls Canada home. President Trump is trying to break us so that America can own us. That will never, ever happen. When I sit down with President Trump, it will be to discuss the future economic and security relationship between two sovereign nations.
Canada's next government will be a Liberal government.
Carney has led an astonishing political comeback. His Liberal Party was dead and buried as an electoral force last January. What turned Canadians was the election before theirs, and the US president who imposed tariffs and threatened to annex Canada as the 51st state. In the UK, Mark Carney is the familiar face, with crisis management on his CV. He was the Bank of England governor through Brexit, having led the Bank of Canada through the 2008 crash. Across Canada, a central issue was who was best placed to deal with Donald Trump. Polls reflected a public trust in the finance man shaping for a fight.
That contest is not decided between Carney and Trump, it's decided internally in America. But if Canada can be strong and put up resistance, then I think, governors and the Senate and even the House and the markets will all have a say in it.
He is the political rookie who's led the biggest comeback in modern democracy. Carney's Liberals, once written off, have written history. He styled himself as the man best placed to tackle the nemesis next door. It's the biggest job in his intrigue.
When I went to vote with my two kids who are 10 and 8, they were wondering how am I choosing their future with Trump in mind.
Okay, we had to just come out of that report because of these live images coming out from the United States, from Michigan and the Selfridge Air National Guard base, where you can see those live images of President Donald Trump arriving there. And as we were listening there to our correspondent, Mark Stone, who is at that rally in Detroit. We are expecting Donald Trump to arrive there shortly, but he has just landed at the Selfridge National Guard base there in Michigan. Just entered the Beast after getting out of Air Force One, and he is going to make his way to that rally, which Mark Stone was describing as another victory rally where Donald Trump will mark his 100 days. Now, we had to come out of our piece on Canada, but I'm joined now by Canada's High Commissioner to the UK, Ralph Goodall. Thank you so much, Ambassador, for joining us here on the programme. We had to, High Commissioner, we had to come out of that piece, but it's extraordinary. I guess few people would have thought that Donald Trump would have overshadowed the elections and, in a way, been a gift to Mark Carney and the Liberals.
Well, Mr. Trump was certainly a very real factor in the Canadian election. Canadians have been put under threat of crippling tariffs. Some of them have already been implemented, and we have responded to those with our own retaliation. But Canadians treat this as an existential threat. This is not theoretical. It's not abstract. It's an attempt by the United States to cripple Canada economically, to facilitate the political domination of Canada by a foreign power. And as Mr. Carney has said on several occasions now, the established security relationship and the established economic relationship that we've enjoyed with the United States and they've enjoyed with us. It's a two-way street and it works well for both of us. That arrangement, set of arrangements has been in place for the better part of 80 years in one form or another, but that era is over. And we now have to develop a new approach to Canada's role in the world without having this dominant relationship with the United States.
Has it felt like some kind of a bitter pill for Canadians? Because Mark Carney talked today about American betrayal. I guess, many Canadians, certainly the Canadians I've spoken to, and you can see that in this result, have felt quite shocked, certainly initially, about why they were coming under attack with these tariffs. Even statements like wanting to make Canada the 51st state, describing Justin Trudeau as governor. I mean, initially, I guess some people viewed it as some kind of joke, but Donald Trump has always made it quite clear that when he says things, he is not joking.
Calculated to be insulting. And Canadians have taken very strong offense to that kind of demeaning and disrespectful behavior. This is a time when Canadians are more unified around this particular point than I've ever seen on any other issue in about 40 or 50 years of active involvement in Canadian politics. Canadians have pulled together economically, politically, demographically, regionally, right across the country And both of the major political parties, indeed all of the political parties campaigning in this most recent election, were on the same page when it came to the point of standing up for Canada, pulling together, defending ourselves, our economy, our security, and our sovereignty without any question or equivocation against the threat that was coming from the United States. Canadians were strong and unified on that point.
Yeah, I do think, not only is this sort of a stunning comeback for the Liberals, given, they were flailing in the polls. Justin Trudeau stepped down after 9 years. And the Conservatives had to distance themselves from Donald Trump to give themselves some kind of chance in all of this. Pierre Poilievre describing himself very much as an anti-woke leader, seen as a populist, then having to really put a wedge between himself and Donald Trump to be able to be taken seriously in this election.
Well, the campaign evolved in a way where Mr. Trump inserted himself into the campaign, even on election day. Said that he was the issue. He himself made that point on the weekend before the election and on election day. And all the political parties, I think, felt the need to respond to that clearly and without equivocation. And they all, in their own way, some with differing emphasis, but nonetheless, they all made the point that Canada is not for sale. Canada's sovereignty is something that we feel very strongly about, and we're not going to be compromised.
And just finally, High Commissioner, do you think that Mark Carney, Canadians certainly do believe this, but do you believe he has what it takes to take on Donald Trump and some of the threats that are coming, in Canada's way?
Well, Canadians have now given him that mandate, and he comes with a pedigree to this role that is very impressive, having been the governor of two central banks, Canada's and the central bank in the UK, having been a very successful business person in the private sector, having been a senior official in the Federal Department of Finance in the Government of Canada for a period of time, having worked in advising different governments around the world about a variety of different issues. Canadians have obviously said to Mr. Carney, you have a mandate to deliver, and Canadians will be pushing to make sure that that commitment to defend Canada, that commitment to protect our sovereignty, that commitment to build a better Canadian economy that is not as vulnerable to American interference as it has been in the past, with our own independent strength and internal trade capacity that cannot be messed with by outside forces like the United States. Canadians will want to see delivery on those issues.
High Commissioner, I'm really grateful you've joined us here on the programme. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Well, tonight we've been talking about tariffs, but of course it's not just Canada that felt the full impact of Trump's so-called Liberation Day. Vietnam has been hit hard, a whopping 46% levy on goods coming from the country to the US are expected to come into force. And as our Asia correspondent Cordia Lynch reports, the pressure is on.
On the Saigon River, you can see and feel Vietnam's miracle growth story. But it's one of the most trade-dependent countries in the world.
Today, about 30% of Vietnam's exports go to the United States. Last year, it accounted for about 30% of its gross domestic product. But Vietnam imports very little from America, creating the kind of trade deficit Trump really doesn't like. Ultimately, if he decides to impose anything like 46% tariffs here, it could be very damaging to the economy.
The government moved fast to try and cut a deal, offering 0% tariffs on US goods. But that was seen as pretty cosmetic. America wants Vietnam to show some muscle. If you're Vietnam going into these trade talks with America, what would you be offering?
To buy American products. If Vietnam goes into trade talks saying that we will be a reliable manufacturer of the core products that you need and a reliable buyer of the core products that America wants to sell, I think the outcome could be good.
And do you think they'll achieve that balance?
I hope so. The question is, how much does China also have the ear of the Vietnamese negotiators?
Cutting Big Brother loose isn't an option. China has a massive footprint here. But Donald Trump wants a major gear change. He claims China's using its neighbour to sell products illegally, shipping them stateside with Made in Vietnam labels. That claim is hard to assess. But down by the river, they question the logic and likelihood of America stepping in to do what they've spent years finessing.
The
United States GDP is so high. It's the largest in the world right now. What's the point of trying to get the jobs from developing countries like Vietnam and other Asian nations? It's unnecessary. It makes America look weaker to me than it used to be.
The US relies on Vietnam for clothing, but on the factory floors of Ho Chi Minh City, the whole fabric of their industry could change.
One of the things this factory produces is cheerleading outfits for export to America. Now, even though the tariffs are currently on pause, they're already feeling the effects here. They're working overtime, trying to press through with orders before the deadline.
Thankfully, this factory started diversifying years ago, expanding exports to Russia and the Middle East.
In 2021, we have more than 40% of export revenue to US. But we see that very dangerous if we depend on one or two markets. So we have to lose our profit. We have to spend more money for marketing to find another market.
That will probably protect them. Others are far more exposed. It's a nation caught between two warring sides, flashing the emergency lights. A warning, a test, but an opportunity too. Cordelia Lynch, Sky News, Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam.
Well, as we've been reporting, Donald Trump is marking 100 days since he came to power for Trump 2.0, and you're currently looking at live images from the Selfridge Air National Guard base. We are expecting President Donald Trump to address the Michigan National Guard there, and as you can see, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth is there with him, as well as the Democratic Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. He's expected to speak at a rally north of Detroit, where our Mark Stone has been reporting from after this. But we are expecting President Donald Trump to come out at any moment now, and he's believed to be addressing the National Guard there at this base. He's there in Michigan to mark 100 days since he came to power, and you remember, of course, Michigan was one of those battleground states that he made a number of trips to during the election campaign. And many people here were seen as swinging voters in this swing state. Let's just have a listen in. Okay, you're just looking at those live images of President Donald Trump there at the Air National Guard base in Michigan, and he's just shaking hands there with the Democratic Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, as well as the Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. And he's going to address the National Guard any minute now. So let's just have a little listen in again.
Well, I guess they think we're going to save this place. And you know what? They're right. 100% right. We're going to save it and make it better, actually. So at ease, everybody. At ease. Enjoy yourself. Sit down if you can. If those are chairs. Yeah, they are, in a sense. Thank you very much. It's an honor to be back in the great state of Michigan. And as you know, we had big victory in Michigan. And I won't forget it, and I'm not forgetting it. And I'm honored to be here at Selfridge Air National Guard Base with the men and women of the 127th Wing of the Michigan Air National Guard. Thank you very much for being here. This is great. It's a great honor, and a great honor for me. We've had such success in Michigan. I want to thank the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, who's doing a really great job. The Houthis will tell you that. He's doing a very good job. Major General Paul Rogers and Brigadier General Daniel Kramer of the Michigan National Guard. Commander of the 127th Wing, Brigadier General Matthew Brancato, thank you very much. Deputy Commander Colonel David Spihar, wherever you may be, David. Where's David? Huh? Hello? Hello, David. Where the hell are you, David? Oh, hello, David. Thank you very much. He's like the quiet type, right? But a killer, I hear. Command Chief Master Sergeant Bruce Hedrick. Bruce? Hello, Bruce. Thank you very much, Bruce. Thank you, Bruce. Great job. For decades, they've been trying to save this facility. I didn't realize that. I thought it was just recently, because I heard about it recently from some people, including your governor, who has done a very good job. She came to see me. That's the reason she came to see me, by the way, to save Selfridge. And she was very effective, along with some of the other politicians and some of the military people. They love this place. They love what it stands for, all the victories they've had here over the years. So I want to thank Governor Gretchen Whitmer for bringing it also to our attention very strongly. And, you know, I'm not supposed to do that. She's a Democrat. They say, don't do that. Don't have her here. I said, no, she's going to be here. She's done a very good job, frankly, and she was very much involved with the Republicans. They worked together on saving it, and it was not easy. So I want to thank you very much, Gretchen. Good job. Thank you. Michigan House Speaker Matt Hall worked with Gretchen and everybody else. Thank you, Matt. Great job you're doing, too. John James, as you know, is right now working on the great, big, beautiful deal. I said, do me a favor, John, just stay back there and let's get your vote. Let's not worry about this today. But John was fantastic, as were all of the other representatives that you have that are right now in Congress working very, very, very hard, actually. And Michigan Senate Republican leader Eric Nesbitt, thank you very much, Eric. Thank you very much. Great job. Done a great job. But I want to thank all of the people that I just mentioned, but in particular, you know, when I look at the House members, they have been calling me all the time, we got to get it done. And they worked along with Gretchen and some others. And you're going to be very happy with what I have to say right now. I also want to thank Michigan's tremendous Republican delegation, the whole delegation, the whole state, because they're back in Washington and they're helping our congressman, and they're helping us get the votes that we need, because I think if we get it, we have the biggest tax cut in history, and if we don't get it, you have the biggest tax increase And for that, I will blame the Democrats, because we probably won't get any votes from Democrats. Not for any reason other than we're Republicans, and the Democrats tend not to vote anytime we vote. The whole thing is so crazy. But it'll be the biggest tax increase in history if we don't get it. And that's why the Republicans can do it, but they have to stick together. And I think they are, from what I understand, really sticking together. I want to thank also Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, and John Thune, Leader John Thune. They have been working together, and with the senators and the Congress, men and women, and I think they've got something that's really, it's big league, and it's very important. The biggest bill ever, if we get it done, and I think we will. For decades, Selfridge Air National Guard Base has stood as a crucial pillar of North American air defense, just 20 miles north of Detroit, where you're going to have a lot of car factories opening very soon, by the way, I might add, with access to the largest military airspace complex east of the Mississippi. Selfridge is tightly integrated with the National All-Domain Warfighting Center. This airfield saw its first military takeoff all the way back in 1917. Can you believe that? Wow, wouldn't that have been a shame to close this great history for something else that wouldn't be as good? The Tuskegee Airmen trained here during World War II, and generations of Michigan patriots have served here with great distinction. Unfortunately, that proud legacy was put at risk by the retirement of the key aircraft based here, in particular the A-10 Thunderbolt II Warthog, which I hear is an incredible plane. It's too bad. It's a long time it's been up there. I said, why don't we save it? I actually said that last time, and we did save it. I said that in my last term, and we did save it, but now it's coming to an end. But I hear the Warthog is incredible. And we have support aircraft, and also the KC-135 Stratotankers. In recent years, many in Michigan have feared for the future of the base. They've been calling everybody, but the only one that mattered was Trump. They called Trump, and we got it done, which represents $850 million in economic impact across the state of Michigan, and probably it could be much more than that as we expand it out, and creates thousands and thousands of good and important jobs, both in the military and civilian jobs. So Gretchen, that's a big economic, you're not going to have too many economic development jobs like that. It's great. But today I've come in person to lay to rest any doubts about Selfridge's future and the vital role it'll play in our national defense. As Commander-in-Chief, I'm proud to announce that very soon we will replace the retiring A-10 Warthogs with 21 brand new F-15EX Eagle II fighter jets, the best in the world, fresh off the line. Brand new. And they have an expression, you know what that means, fresh off the line. That means they are brand new. They've never been anywhere. This is where they're going to be for a long time. And I saw one of them, it flew over my head, and I said, what the hell is that? That plane has serious power. So this is the best there is anywhere in the world, the F-15EX Eagle II. This will keep Selfridge at the cutting edge of Northern American air power. My administration will also continue with plans to replace the outgoing KC-135s and KC-46 Pegasus aircraft to continue that important refueling mission. And they'll be restocked with brand new top-of-the-line refuelers. For generations, the men and women of Selfridge have always been here, and they've always been for us. Whether you're Republican or you're Democrat, they've always been for us. They've been for America. And under the Trump administration, we're going to be there for you. The previous administration was willing to surrender Air National Guard fighter units across the country by retiring aircraft that were not being replaced. We are replacing. But under the Trump administration, we're correcting that injustice, and that starts right here in Michigan, where we have a big commitment to Michigan and to the state, even beyond this. This is an exciting time for the United States military. Since November, enlistment numbers for every branch of the armed forces have surged. Recruitment is now the highest it's been in 39 years. Now, if you remember that, you better hold on to those jobs or somebody will take them. Somebody will take those jobs so fast. Hold on to those jobs. Don't leave that job. Who would have thought? Because prior to November 5th, which is Election Day, I was hearing that recruitment was so bad, it was so impossible, it was hard to get people. And this goes not only for the armed forces, for the police, for firemen. People are proud of our country again. Big difference. But we had the worst numbers that we've ever had virtually. We couldn't get anybody, and now we're overstocked. We have waiting lists of people wanting to sign up and be with the military. They're proud of our country again. And I'll be supporting a record-setting $1 trillion investment in our national defense. We're going to go $1 trillion, the largest in the world, largest ever in our country, but no other country's invested that much. We have a $1 trillion budget for military this year, and we have tremendous plans, including increasing the scope of Selfridge. And I recently signed an order to begin construction of the Golden Dome missile defense shield to protect our homeland from missile attack. We're going to call it the Golden Dome. We had the Iron Dome, but somehow, Gretchen, Golden Dome sounds better to me. I don't know. Maybe it's not. What do you like better, Golden Dome or Iron Dome? What do you like better? Golden, let's have a vote. Golden Dome. Oh, no, I think we're in trouble. Oh. How about the Iron Dome? Good, keep it, that's good. Because we made all the changes already, it'll be a little bit, even the renderings look very golden, look beautiful. No, it's going to be incredible, the latest and the greatest. A lot of it's going to be made in Michigan. A lot of it is going to be made, the Golden Dome. You know, other countries have it, in particular, Israel has it, and we have a much more advanced, and theirs is very good. We helped do it, we did it. But we have an advanced version now that really is incredible what it does. We had a case study of 169. Out of 169, every one of them just shut down. And I think we're entitled to it, don't you? I think we're entitled to it as a country. America's military will soon be stronger and more powerful than ever before, and Selfridge Air National Guard Base will remain at the center of the action. And I just want to say we're building some of the greatest submarines and various other ships, but submarines in particular, we have a monopoly on great submarines. We're building the greatest in the world, most powerful machine ever built. And we're doing some things that are just incredible. In one way, you hate to do it, but in another way, you really have no choice. And we're fighting very hard on the China front and the Russia front with Ukraine and what's happening in the Middle East, and a lot of good things. You're going to be hearing a lot of good things. It's a shame. When I left office not so long ago, we had no wars. We defeated ISIS in 3 weeks. It was supposed to take 5 years, they told me. Sir, it's going to take about 5 years. We did it in 3 weeks. Raising Cain, he's now your top, you know, he's your top person. He's the head of the Joint Chiefs. And I did that because he was the one. He said, sir, we can do it in 3 weeks. I said, 3 weeks? They told me 5 years. No, sir, you can do it in 3 weeks, sir. And I said, let's see if you can do it. And he did it. He had a little time left over, actually. And ISIS was gone, totally defeated. And he's the man we wanted. That's the man I said, if I do this again, I'm going to put that guy in charge, because he did things that nobody else was able to do. And nobody else even thought it or even suggested. So I'm very proud to have him head up the whole military operation, along with Pete and some other great people. So I just want to say that Michigan, it's been my great honor to be here. I've had tremendous success in Michigan. Not all Republicans have, but I have. And not just this time either. We had we did tremendously well in 2020, and we did incredibly well in 2016. In 2016, they said it couldn't be won. You know, it couldn't be won, but we won, and we won by a lot. So it's a special place, and I don't forget my friends, and Michigan's been my friend. And I want to just thank everybody here. I want to congratulate you, actually, because there are a lot of people wanted this to happen to their neck of the woods, but it's happening for you. So congratulations, and God bless you all. God bless our military, and God bless America. Thank you very much. Congratulations, everybody. Congratulations.
You're listening there to President Donald Trump marking his first 100 days in office with that speech there at the Air Force Base in Michigan, ahead of a rally in Detroit, where our Mark Stone is going to be reporting from. And you can see there his Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, speaking as well. And we saw the Democratic Governor, Gretchen Whitmer. And Donald Trump praised Gretchen Whitmer and praised Pete Hegseth there, as well as talking about the fact that he believed people around the world respected America again, and talked about some of the achievements that his administration has made over the course of the last 100 days. Well, earlier I spoke to the former US ambassador to the United Nations, as well as Donald Trump's former national security advisor in the first Trump administration, John Bolton. I started by asking him for his take on Trump's first 100 days.
Well, I think there's been a lot of activity, a lot of noise and light, but really not much has been brought to conclusion. I think some things are going to have to play out in the courts, which they are, where Trump's actions are being challenged. A lot of what he's done in the international arena has resulted in failure so far. The tariff effort is near chaotic. Some more domestic issues he's had greater success with, but I think by and large, despite all of the news that's been created in real substantive terms, surprisingly little has been accomplished that you can say with finality has actually changed very much.
And in terms of his approval rating, we've seen it plummet. How do you think he's dealing with that?
Well, I think he personally cares less about it in the second term than he did in the first term, because notwithstanding his rhetoric about running again in 2028, he's not going to run again because the Constitution forbids it. So ironically, the break that public opinion provided, the necessity to have to appear before the electorate again that existed in the first term for him does not exist in the second term. It does exist for Republican members of Congress. We're just coming back into town this week after 2 weeks of recess for Easter, looking at these same public opinion polls and wondering what the impact will be for them when they face the electorate in November of next year.
He famously said that he would end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours. It's been 100 days, and let alone a peace deal, we can't seem to even see a ceasefire hold. The last ceasefire that Putin announced, President Zelensky said that it was broken 3,000 times or so. Again, how do you think he's reacting and responding? We're seeing a lot of things play out in real time, in sort of a Trump world reality TV show. But behind the closed doors, no doubt there's a level of frustration at the fact that he can't get some of these things over the line.
Well, I think some things he does care about intensely. I think it's pretty clear that while he's been effective at closing the Mexican border to illegal immigrants, the effort to deport illegal immigrants is not going the way he expected. And he's very upset about that and concerned about what his base will think that he's failed so signally on that important initiative. I think he must know that the tariff program is in trouble. We just had an incident today where there was a report that Amazon, the vast website, would put an indicator on everything they sold of the impact of the Trump tariffs. Now, the Amazon spokespeople have denied it, but Trump actually called Jeff Bezos. The thought that that information would be provided to American taxpayers so that they would recognize they were paying the tariffs, not China, must have scared him very deeply. So I think there is recognition, and was when he was inaugurated. He has a very limited amount of time to get a lot of things done. He's not doing very well at it, and although he's a new president, that's true, he's also a lame duck president. And every day that goes by, the lame duck aspect gets more important.
And you have people like, I know Elon Musk is stepping back from Doge, but the likes of Steve Witkoff, for example, you know, someone with, again, very little geopolitical experience, running around the world trying to secure the Iran nuclear deal, trying to secure a ceasefire in Gaza, for example, and, of course, a potential ceasefire or peace deal in Ukraine as well.
Right, and Witkoff knows nothing about Russia, knows nothing about Ukraine, knows nothing about Gaza. I'm not sure he knew where it was before he got the assignment. He knows nothing about Iran, nothing about nuclear weapons, nothing about arms control and non-proliferation. Really, what could go wrong?
And I guess looking ahead at the next 100 days, what are you looking out for just going forward? As you say, he is limited on time. There's also the midterm elections coming up, and we will potentially see how the American people will vote there.
Well, I don't think the pace of activity will be as intense in the next 100 days. You know, you can only issue an executive order changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America once. Maybe he'll change it back. I don't think so. And some of the things that were highlighted in the first 100 days are going to come up on very sharp decision points, including the tariffs and what their future will be. And much of the Trump agenda still has to go through Congress. And so the period between now and the next big recess on July the 4th, it will be a period of intense activity with very thin Republican majorities. So a lot is at stake in these congressional deliberations. Hard to say how it will turn out. Trump here benefits from real luck. The Democratic Party is all but invisible in Washington. They still haven't recovered from losing the election. They're at sea as to what their priorities should be, and they have not formed anything like an effective opposition in the first 100 days. As I say, Trump very lucky in that regard.
And you were listening there to Ambassador John Bolton, who was Donald Trump's national security advisor during Trump won. The two men had a falling out, and John Bolton was ejected from that administration. So no love lost between those two men. And John Bolton has been incredibly critical of Donald Trump. But Donald Trump there at the Selfridge Air National Guard base with his Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, as well as the Democratic Governor Gretchen Whitmer a little earlier. He is in Michigan, which was, of course, a battleground state, and Donald Trump praised Michigan. He said that Michigan has always been with him. Michigan, of course, has been badly hit by the tariffs as well, but he's there to mark 100 days of him coming into power and 100 days of him being in office. And we've seen what it's been like over the course of the last 100 days. It has really been fast and furious. We've discussed all of these issues on our various podcasts. You can see there the Trump 100 podcast marking the occasion today, talking about it. And, of course, the World podcast that I host with my co-host Richard Engel, which is coming out tomorrow. We have titled it Fast and Furious because of the hyperactive nature of the last 100 days of the Trump administration. But let's just have a little listen in to Donald Trump speaking a little earlier as he left the White House for Michigan.
Either we've done everything or it's in the process of being done. For instance, the border is in great shape. 99.9% came out again today. 99.9. That, I would say, that was my number one thing. The economy would be certainly right up there, and I think it's doing great. We were losing billions and billions of dollars a day with trade, and now I have that down to a very low level, and soon we're going to be making a lot of money. We're going to be reducing people's taxes, and we're going to get the big, look, a very important element, maybe more important than anything with the border in good shape, is the fact, is the fact that we want to get, and very importantly, the big, beautiful new deal. If we get that done, that's the biggest thing, what's happening in Congress right now. And I think we're going to get it done. We have great Republican support. If the Democrats blocked it, you'd have a 60% tax increase. I don't think that's going to happen. We have great support from Republicans. So the big, beautiful deal, that's what we want.
That was President Donald Trump speaking a little earlier as he left the White House to mark his 100 days in office, which he is doing at present in Michigan. We saw him there at the Selfridge Air National Guard base, and then he's going to be making his way to a rally in Detroit, which will be his largest political event since returning to the White House in a state, Michigan, that has been especially rocked by his steep trade tariffs and, of course, the tariffs that he has imposed on the motor industry as well. So Donald Trump there, as you can see, pictures earlier as he arrived at that Selfridge Air National Guard base, marking the 100 days that he has been in office. And it's been an extraordinary 100 days. Consequential is how our correspondent Mark Stone described it. We have much more analysis on our website of the last 100 days, and we will have much more coverage on the News at 10 in the next few minutes with Gillian Joseph. But for now, good night. We'll leave you with these images.